Well, hello there. It is Monday. So we booked another one of those container loads. One of those deals where we have to go pick it up today, but we can't drop it in Memphis. Is it Memphis? Yeah, I think it's Memphis. Where we dropped that other one at. Yes, we pick it up today and we drop it Wednesday. So we'll go pick it up today. We'll bring it back to the house. We'll sit for the day and then we'll leave again tomorrow morning. Lita's in there cooking some breakfast. About to hook up the old truck. We did a lot of work on this thing. We did a new leveling valve. So a little about this whole leveling valve thing. It's been going bad for a very long time and I didn't realize it. Basically what's been happening, and I thought it was the gas pumps, was I've been unable to stick the nozzle down into the tanks. And I always thought either the tanks twisted or the lever on, or the hose part of the nozzle of the gas pump was bent straight, because they do get bent. So I've been having to stick the handle up in here and fill it up that way. Well, that last trip that we took out, the cab was slamming us, so that let me know it was obviously a leveling valve issue. These shocks, cab over shocks, aren't supposed to work for this truck, but knock on wood, they seem to be working. They just don't compress as much. Leveling valve is working, so that's fantastic. Let's see, what else have we done to this thing? I gave her a bath yesterday, or the day before. You can see I already got greasy handprints on the hood. What's up, Mason? What's up? That woman call you? Yeah. I was trying to record and she wouldn't shut up. I didn't know what was going on. I was trying to figure out what you got her call me. Yeah, because I had no idea what she was trying to say. Man, we did a lot. What else did I do? Oh, the power steering pump. We did the whole gearbox. Got a whole gearbox. I got that grease cert fixed. For some reason I would pump grease into that, and that little ball at the end of the grease cert wasn't holding the grease in, and all the grease would come shooting out. That ended up being almost $1,000. And then the leveling valve for this thing was $60, and then the shocks were like $40 a piece. Yeah, so trying to think if there was anything else we did. Oh, the vibration of the truck. I'm pretty sure we have the vibration of the truck fixed. Because we bought these leveling rods that aren't adjustable, I just figured it was made for this truck. I thought Lita went up there and said, hey, we have a 2008 Mac, we need a leveling rod for it. I thought they gave her a leveling rod that automatically gave us the distance that we needed. Come to find out, that wasn't the case, but we did the carrier bearing. The carrier bearing was definitely bad. But I think the leveling rod was the main issue. So there is that. You guys know, oh, I had to weld these boxes up. We had this corner of this. Don't laugh at my aluminum welding. I'm very new to welding aluminum. This broke off and has been dangling almost since I had the trailer. So we welded that up. We've got an aluminum toolbox in the back that's messed up. But the main issue, you guys know, I put a dump valve on this thing a long time ago. And I couldn't figure out why, when I dumped my valve, it would dump all the airbags. Now, if you look here, this shows you, if you guys can see that, how this is supposed to be ran. You're supposed to come off the height control valve, it's supposed to split, and then it's supposed to go to each side of the airbag. So that's how I figured it was. So I connected these two bags in the back to the dump valve that I wanted to do. When we were having some issues with the bag's squishing down. I actually got up under there and seen how they did it. So they came off of this leveling valve, went to this airbag, split from that airbag, went to that airbag, split from that airbag, went to this one, split from that one, and went to this one. And obviously, when I'm trying to dump these two, those two were in line with these two. So when I tried to dump these two bags, these two were in line with those, which meant it dumped them all. So it wasn't a valve issue. It was whoever ran the hoses on this trailer issue that did it wrong. So while we were out last time, these bags weren't inflating properly. So I took, instead of jumping to these two bags and then up to here, because it seemed like it wasn't pumping these up properly, we went from this leveling valve and we went to this airbag, to that airbag, to that airbag, and then back to this airbag. And that seemed to help a lot for whatever reason. I put more air in these bags than what it was before. Now what I've done is I have a leveling valve back here on this one, and I have a leveling valve for this axle. And what I've done is these are connected. So basically, if I don't adjust this leveling rod here, this leveling rod will still fill up all these bags. But I have a check valve. I installed a check valve on this air system. I'm not gonna crawl under there right now and show you. A one-way check valve where this valve can put air into these bags, but this valve cannot put air into this. And you're probably wondering, well, why would you do it that way? So the way that this works is air pressure and leveling, obviously. If I have a really heavy load up here and it's pushing down on these bags real heavy on this one, if this has to pump up to, we'll say 100 psi to get these bags to where they're supposed to be, to get that leveled where the leveling rod is, if I allow this to pump up these bags as much as these bags, then those bags will be completely maxed out. But here's the thing. I have this leveling valve. So what I did was I set this leveling valve at a height that I wanted. And then when I went to set this leveling valve, I set this leveling valve to where it would pump this one up just a little bit more than what I have this one. So when this squishes down, in theory, and you guys are only going to hear about this if it works, in theory, is my fear was it would put too much weight on this axle if I only put one leveling valve on this axle, due to, like I said, if this is doing all the work, it's going to put all the load on this. Which, by the way, I went and weighed this. I went and weighed each individual axle when we had that big coil on here, and this axle, even with the way it was set up, still had, I can't remember, 2,000 more pounds worth of weight on this axle than that axle. And maybe that's normal. So anyways, back to this. I've set the ride height on this, and then the ride height on the back is actually picking this one up just a little bit more. That way when this squishes down, it'll stop at that ride height, but this one's still trying to help out, which will hopefully, in theory, put weight on this axle. Enough weight on this axle to split the difference. Like I said, you guys will only hear about that if it works anyways, because I'm perfect on this channel and I don't make mistakes ever. So anyways, I had to weld this box. This box is really bad. This piece of crap right here, this thin aluminum piece of junk, was actually falling off. You can see I've had to put some welds on this thing a few times. Well, I had to weld it again. This whole corner blew off. This was all cracked all the way up in here. This, I don't know if this thing threw up and kicked something up and hit this and blew that corner off, but this corner was all mangled. I had to take and straighten it up with a hammer and don't look at those welds, because like I said, I'm new to welding aluminum, and it's definitely different than welding steel. So man, what else have we done? I feel like we've done a lot. Those shocks were a job. I think that's pretty much it. So let me run in here, check on this breakfast, and then we're going to shoot down to Florida, pick this container up. Hopefully, I don't know if you guys remember, but the whole trailer was twisted before, and I'm hoping these bags, because this front left corner was the last one in line to get air, I think that's why it was leaning. So now that it has its own separate leveling valve, I'm hoping my trailer doesn't lean like it did before, which is another big reason we wanted to book this same load, so we could see if what we did actually fixed the problem. We actually called them this morning. They said somebody else is booked on the load. And we're like, dang it. A little bit after that, they sent us an email saying that the load was available. The broker doesn't take phone calls, he only takes text messages. Mason texted him, hey, we just got an email saying this was available. And we're like, oh no, we don't have that load, but we have the same load, but it picks up on Wednesday and drops Thursday. And we're like, you know what, whatever, we'll take it. They're like, oh, but that one pays $300 less. And we're like, we're not playing those games, no thank you. A little bit goes by, and then they come back and they're like, oh, we have another Monday load, so if you want to pick this up Monday and drop it Wednesday, you can have it. So that's what we'll do. Also, I haven't been greasing my fifth wheel. I've been using my Lucas. This Lucas hub oil, it's a super thick, goopy oil, and it is doing wonders for my fifth wheel. It lasts so much longer than grease, and I feel like it works so much better. I've even been using red and tacky. I've tried all kinds of different grease, and this hub oil seems to be working the best. So, plus I bought a bunch of these. Remember when I first bought the truck, I wanted to change all the hub oil and all the trailer and on the front, and I bought like 6 of those, and come to find out it didn't take but like maybe 1 to completely change everything. So, and now that we have 2 leveling valves, I want to make sure that this is going to work. I'm going to go ahead and hook up another dump valve, now that I know that the airbag system wasn't plumbed properly. Now we'll be able to do a dump valve on that thing. Man, I was racking my brain, like, this is the old dump valve that I had on there, and I'm like, it must just be a cheap Chinese piece of crap. So one of you subscribers sent me a good one, a proper one, and it was doing the same thing. So I couldn't figure it out why. Like, I cannot figure out why this dump valve is not working. Well, it's because whoever had this trailer before, or maybe before him, replumbed the whole air system and they did it wrong. So I don't know, we'll have to see what happens. I've talked your ears off. Let me go get ready. All right, guys, we have made it home from picking that thing up, and I've got some good news. Well, first of all, the hood's up because I didn't have the steering wheel straight, completely straight. It was off a couple of notches, so I just fixed that. I thought the wheels were straight in the driveway. They weren't. The trailer isn't leaning as much as they were, and I don't know how much I've talked to you guys about this or not. I don't know what's going to make it into the footage. I don't even know if this is going to make it into the footage because honestly, I've just been so frustrated here lately that I just couldn't figure out what was going on. You know, when we first picked up this trailer, we didn't have any issues with these tires rubbing, and we were doing coils, we were doing everything else. We ended up breaking I think we did it, I don't know if you guys remember, we drove off down into the ditch. Yeah, not into a ditch, it was into that field when we were trying to transport. It was almost something like this here, and they wouldn't bring the crane closer. So pretty much what's been happening, what we've noticed, is this front left airbag would not inflate all the way. Lita noticed, I mean, I noticed it too, but sometimes it takes a second person to be like, hey, look at that, for you to realize, yeah, I guess that's not supposed to look like that. Lita's smart too. A lot of you guys don't realize she's actually pretty smart. So this front left airbag, and I'll show you guys after I inflate and when I turn the truck on again and I let the bags inflate. This airbag, instead of airing up straight up and down, this thing has been airing up sideways like this, and I couldn't figure out why. I thought maybe it was the way they routed the airlines, so we rerouted the airlines, because before, like I was telling you guys earlier, the leveling valve went from this airbag to that airbag. All they did was tee it off. This was the last airbag. I figured there was something going on from this point to that point that wasn't allowing this airbag to fill up all the way. These are the U-bolts that they replaced. As you can see, if I can show you guys here, they're a lot longer than the factory ones. Well, I got to looking and I measured from this point to the tire on this side and from that point to the tire on that side, because it looked like this arm was cocked more than this one. So I measured, this is 1.5 inches more this way from this tire than that one is from that tire. So what that's doing is that's bringing the bottom of this airbag to the right, which you can see the bottom of the airbag is over here and the top of the airbag is over here, so it's inflating sideways. And like I said, it works off of PSI. Once it reaches a certain PSI, or the level, you know, the level back there determines how much PSI it puts in all the airlines to inflate all the bags evenly. And this one was always crooked. That one's a little crooked, but not quite as bad. That one will actually air up straight up and down. This one's crooked because, and I'll include a picture, when they replaced these bolts, they just left this wherever it would be, tightened it down, and now it's crooked on the axle. There's a gap. You guys probably won't be able to see it with the camera, or maybe you will. This might do better than a picture. Let me get my flashlight out here. Oh, come on now. Flashlight. There's a gap in that axle right there. So that tells me that if they would have pushed this arm over before they tightened all these bolts down, that would have lined this airbag up perfectly perpendicular, or vertical. So that's gonna have to be fixed, because I have been pulling my hair out. Why? And I think you guys remember, because last time, the first time it happened, I thought it was because they didn't set this leveling valve right. The first time that we burnt this tire up, I was like, they must not have set the leveling valve right. Well, that's the same time that they replaced those U-bolts. So what that means is my air hose and all will not reach from the house out here. I tried my battery powered impact and I tried to get a breaker bar on there. I cannot break those loose. A lot of times with those U-bolts, once you put the nuts on there and it gets rusty, you basically have to cut them off. Hey Willows, are you going home? We got a neighborhood dog. Oh, she went through that pipe. Hi babies. Hi, you went through the pipe under the driveway, you maniac. You're a sweet girl though, ain't you? You're so pretty. Yeah. She likes to come over and play with the doggies. She is such a good dog. You are a good dog. Her name is Willow. Huh. I don't even know where I was now. But yeah, that was the same time they did those U-bolts. So evidently, whoever they had on that, just let it be wherever it was, tighten down the first U-bolt with that arm being cockeyed, and just let it ride. I should probably check these back here now. I mean, that these air up straight up and down, but they didn't set that axle right. And it's like, I'm not a mechanic. I don't know to look for these things, honestly. And I just so happened to, because we just stuck that leveling valve on the front, because I'm trying to figure out why it's not right. So with that big coil load that we ended up doing, I weighed each axle because I planned on putting this leveling valve, because I figured it was an air issue filling all 4 airbags up at one time. We were 2,000 pounds heavier on this front axle than we were on the back with one leveling valve. With 2 leveling valves, we are 3,000 pounds heavier on that front axle. We're still legal on the axle, but if I go ahead and lift this rear leveling valve up, that'll put more weight on this axle and take some off of that axle. So for the meantime, we are going to leave it the way it is. We're going to take this to Memphis, Tennessee, start bouncing around, and we're going to come back. You know, I mean, honestly, if I can find a shop while we're on the road, I'll go ahead and pay them to do it. But the whole reason for taking it back to the place that did this would be because I would make them warranty their work. But look, they're great people up there. The guy I deal with he's awesome, very professional. He always gets me in and gets me out. But a lot of times these shops have to hire, and you know what, I'll be honest with you, maybe I can't even blame it on the person that did it. That's probably something that is easy to look over. You would have never thought maybe that would have not been the same. Of course, I don't know, I don't work on trailers for a living, so I honestly couldn't tell you. The guy I deal with is super awesome. He gets me in and out, hooks me up with t-shirts. Like he drag races with us. Like, he's an awesome dude. But sometimes you just have to hire employees and hope and pray they know what they're doing. I ran into... Well, good morning. It is 8:12 Tuesday. Set the alarms for 6:30. We are now on the road. It says we got about a 9-hour drive. Having to drive super slow. Dealing with some serious fog this morning. What do you think, Mac? I think Mackie was excited to go, weren't you? What's going on back there?
They both climbed in the truck. Then
yeah, so I did something a little different to load them up this time. Because Nula's always acts like she's excited to go, but then we go and she's like, nope, takes off towards the house. but I usually have the truck running when they come out. So I didn't have the truck running this time. They came out, jumped right in, and Nula started shaking. She's weird. I don't know why she does that. She would lose her mind if we left. Like,
turn right on Ada
anytime I started the truck, she's like at the door, like, where are we going? Where are we going? Then when it's time to go, she's like, maybe, maybe not. Huh? What do you think, Mac?
What is that face?
All right, let me pay attention. It's super foggy. I'll talk to you guys in a bit. Wheel. Hello, beautiful. So I think I want to go ahead and try to fix this problem while we have this heavy load on here, so I can see if it's going to make a difference. Because right now, even with this leveling valve, the tire smacked the top of this a few times. So even with this leveling valve, we don't have much of a clearance on this side, but on this side over here, we have plenty of clearance, like that. So because that airbag is sideways, it's just not lifting it up enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut these, what I have to do, because they used a really large U-bolt on this, I have to come under here and I have to cut these bolts down shorter so that my socket can fit up there. I don't know how they did it. They must have done this with a wrench, or they got some ridiculous sockets. So I'm gonna have to cut one side of these so I can loosen one up, and then we got to push this. We've got to push this over. Yeah, I'm gonna need some type of glasses. ish. So now I gotta put it on. This one. If that bar at? That's what I was afraid of. I broke it. Bummer. So we broke our breaker bar. I kind of thought that little nub was gonna break. I got this side loose. And I don't know if it loosened up easily because I put some heat to it with a grinder, or if they never really got this side tight because they couldn't get a socket on there. I'm gonna say they never really got this side tight because they couldn't get a socket on there. They probably stuck a wrench on there and tightened it as much as they could with a wrench, rather than just cutting this bolt. Alright, since I broke my bar, I went ahead and loosened up this side over here a good bit, and I'm going to try to hook a chain to this thing and run it outside the trailer to a ratcheting chain ratchet, and I'm going to see if we can't just get this thing to pop over and then tighten these things back up. And what I'll probably do is run by a shop and have them impact this thing on. Shine your light right here. Yeah, that's it. That worked. that worked. But now look at the gap we have. So now, see if the airbag is straight. Still not super straight. Maybe I can pull it over a little bit more before I tighten it down.
Still looks tricky.
And this is, oh guys, it's gonna start airing up now. Yeah, it still has to come over some. From this bottom plate to here. Okay? 4 3/8 right there. Check it out. We got her straight. You guys probably thought I was crazy doing this, but it worked. Huh, woman?
Yeah.
Did it lift that side up out there? Let's have a look to see if they're even. All right. So we're at that. Let's check this other side. Still a gap. The heck was that? All right, we still have a gap. It is flooding outside. I mean, the whole truck is shaking right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we're on the outside of like severe thunderstorm.